Hey Maker, I am your digital marketing coach, Tori from Hey Tori. Today is day one of me trying to sell 100 copies of my book, Workshops Unleashed: How to Design Engaging and Successful Workshops for Quilters and Crafters. It combines course design and marketing to help you create your class and get it out there. So I'm trying to sell 100 copies to get to H&H, which is a industry trade show in Chicago in May. And today, what I want to do is read a little bit from the book, which is the introduction. And it's the reason why I wrote this book. So I think that you'll get to see my writing style and see if this is something that you might want to read more about. So the chapter is called, or the section really is called the road to workshops unleashed. So I sat very still in shock as he droned on, much like the adult voices in a Charlie Brown cartoon. It was 2 weeks after our wedding, and his idea would change everything. Every plan, choice, and strategy I had put into place for my life would have to change. I'm a person who likes a plan. It doesn't have to be full of detail, but general guidelines guide and comfort me through this crazy thing called life. And here is my new husband proposing the idea of joining the military. But it's not what you think. I'd be an officer after training is done, he explained. He had no idea what I was thinking. That conversation was a turning point. It felt like my life had been thrown into turmoil, and I was standing still in the middle, watching the world turn around me. I finished my bachelor's degree in history and child development, graduated, and 2 months later, I packed up my little brown Ford Tracer, threw our dog, her name's Gambit, in the back, and drove from California to Georgia to be with my new husband. At that point, we had spent 5 months together out of our first year of marriage. I spent my time in Georgia in a blind routine. I didn't know what to do with myself. Ideas would pop up and I'd make excuses, ignoring the dread of feeling of being useless that was growing in the back of my mind. One thing I did try to do was make friends. And I bet if you've been a stay at home spouse, you may guess what happened next. I got pulled into an MLM, a multi level marketing scheme. In short, the company was awful, but it gave me the first spark of entrepreneurship. I was finally inspired to invent my own future. If I couldn't follow my original plan, I'd create a new one. So what did I want to do? Teach. I've always wanted to teach. From Girl Scouts to dance to leadership in high school and college, everything I enjoyed revolved around teaching. I did the research and prepared for our first duty station in Texas. We were there for almost 4 years. I worked hard earning a Texas teaching certificate and a master's in curriculum and instruction at the same time. This is an aside. It was a very busy time, and my husband was actually deployed, which was perfect because I could just focus on all that education. I worked full time as an aide and then 2 years as a kindergarten teacher before my life got flipped upside down yet again. This flip came in the form of a tiny human, one that stole my heart and shifted all my priorities. My son was born a week after the school year ended and 3 months before we moved again. So we arrived in South Carolina at the end of the summer. I was a new mom, a burned out teacher. Yes, only after a couple of years. And I had no idea when or where we were heading after our short station in South Carolina. I had no desire to return to the classroom. The spark of entrepreneurship that I'd felt 4 years prior was still sparkling in the back of my mind. And I wondered, could this spark turn into more? I used my hobby for inspiration, and I sold quilts and baby blankets. I pivoted after almost a year to a more scalable endeavor: quilt pattern design and teaching workshops. I always seemed to be pulled back to teaching. Within this space of pattern design and workshop development, I traveled around the country, both in person and virtually, to present at quilt guilds. I soon found myself again creatively burned out and knew that this wasn't quite what I needed. So I pivoted again to teaching the teacher. I saw this gap both in the quilting industry, in my military spouse community, and even in my family, where women were being told to do more and charge less. They were told that they weren't worthy without a degree, that their time and expertise meant nothing. And on the flip side, I also saw amazingly creative women wanting to teach, but not being confident enough to start. Now, these very creative women also had a trend of being able to demonstrate what they did, but not being able to transfer their skills effectively or efficiently. In other words, they could make beautiful things and wanted to help others, but were not able to teach their skills in a comprehensive way and in the time allotted. As an aside, we tend to go overboard with our teaching when we want to share absolutely everything. And we only have like 2 hours in class, maybe three. Every once in a while, you get a full day workshop, but you still have to fit in the time, right? So I felt called to help change that narrative, and it became concrete on the day that Darla Hall reached out to me for help. Darla Hall was an award-winning long-arm free motion quilter when she approached me about teaching workshops in person and online. We went over everything she would need to create her curriculum, class structure, landing pages, setting up a Zoom account, and equipment. We even discussed pricing, ensuring she was fairly compensated for her skill, experience, and time. Just like Darla, your time and experience are extremely valuable. Your expertise is wanted and needed. Your call to teach is a beautiful sign. Let's unleash your creativity and help others release theirs. Workshops transfer skills and knowledge. Our skills as quilters and crafters are creative skills that are desperately needed in this tech-driven world. Creativity is essential for humans, and creativity makes space for problem solving, improving memory, and creating joy and fun. Workshops are an amazing way to give that away. So I invite you to use this book to unleash your creativity and help spread joy, fun, and creativity around the world. So imagine if one person in every community decided to create and teach a workshop. They teach people, then those 6 people in turn teach 6 people, and so on and so forth, creating a ripple that unleashes creativity and joy in a world that desperately needs it. So let's get started unleashing your workshop. So that was the intro to my book, Workshops Unleashed. Again, this is day one of me trying to sell 100 copies and reach my people who need help with their course design and marketing. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you for day 2.